Good morning, everybody. Yes, still morning, 10:30 a.m. Pacific time on Thursday, March 16th, 2023. Got the Ask Me Anything happening. The questions, as always, are curated from the Linchpin Private Track Facebook group as well as the Linchpin Squad in the BTWB app. Man, okay, there's some good questions. I actually think we're only going to get to two, just because the second one, which was the most upvoted one, or the second most upvoted one, is a beast. It's a great question, and there's a lot there that I think will be really useful, but I think it might take a bit to get through it. So here we go, with no further ado. So the first question, which I don't think will take too long, Trey says, I am curious about the differences between Linchpin private track programming and the programming you do for affiliates. So yes, because affiliates have different off days and all that kind of good stuff. Hello from Dubai. So the Linchpin private track, those are the workouts that I put out on the Instagram page on CrossFitLinchpin.com. A workout every day except for Thursday and Sunday, so 5 workouts a week. Those same workouts are the workouts that are also included in the Linchpin private track for gym owners, for affiliates. However, there's also a workout on Thursday and also a workout on Sunday. So it's programming 7 days a week. Both the individual private track and the affiliate part, on the days that they have workouts, they get all the same stuff regarding warm-ups, wildcard option, scaled option, dumbbell option, no equipment option, goal times to shoot for, the video that I make every day talking about the workout and the intended stimulus, thoughts on scaling it, all that kind of stuff, the optional accessory work, the cool down, the stretching, all of that is a part of both of those, beyond the whiteboard access, the whole 9 yards. The big difference is that the affiliate programming has workouts 7 days a week, because most gyms are open 7 days a week and you never know when people are coming in or going out. And the affiliate programming also has a fantastic detailed lesson plan every day that the coaches and trainers can use to help facilitate the class to their members. And then obviously the other big part of it is that the gym owner subscription allows you to use all of that content that I create and put out there in your own business to generate revenue from your members doing that. That's a massive distinction between the individual subscription and that. And the only thing which is, it's challenging but fun, to work around, since gyms are open, a lot of gyms 7 days a week, you get to lay out the workouts in sort of a way. It's also challenging because if you've got 100 members going to your gym, some might come Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and others come on these days, and some come Monday through Friday and take the weekend off, and some just come the weekend and one day during the week. And so you want to make sure you cover as many bases as you can, given heavy days, going long, going short, all those things as well. And then I always say on like Sunday's workout, I'm like, look, I don't know how you guys roll at your affiliate, but here's a great workout for Sunday that makes perfect sense based upon everything we've done over the course of the week. But with that being said, if your crew at your gym is open to it, Sunday can also just be a great sort of a makeup day, right? Where you look back over the course of the week and maybe an individual schedule didn't allow them to come in on a heavy back squat day and they really wanted to get in a heavy back squat, and it's what they needed. Well, Sunday could serve as a great makeup day as well. So there's a workout provided for that day with all the ancillary material as well that fits beautifully in the programming. But I always like to say, it can also be a great makeup day if that's how, you guys roll at your gym. Totally up to the individual gym owner. So that's that. Okay. Here we go. Here's the next one. Here's the one. Gotta get a drink of water for this. So this is a great question from Henry A., who says he was listening to a podcast that was doing a review on the Open. And amongst a lot of the blah, 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 I took away the gem of the Open being a test. And if you didn't, quote unquote, pass the test, you should ask yourself why. And then they offered solutions and theories as to why people would potentially, quote unquote, fail that test. One resounding theme came back to me time and time again, that is, if you don't tackle a movement and practice it during the course of the year, how do you expect to get better at it? So I looked at today's workout of 21, 15, 9 power cleans and chest to bar pull-ups that we had at Linchpin, and ignored the guidelines as far as the time domain and the stimulus attentions, and I decided to do it prescribed, even though it sounds like it was a bit, more of a challenge than he regularly would have bitten off. The cleans were singles, as were the chest to bar pull-ups, and I didn't hit all the chest to bars, but I got my chest hitting the bar on some of them. It took me about 16 minutes, which is, over the recommended guideline for that workout. Previously, I would have scaled the weight to something I know I could have done 10 of, for example, and would have done ring rows instead of the chest to bar pull-ups. Which is right? Which was the right type of workout to take this approach in? Should I expose myself to these harder movements and heavier weights in a different format? So much in that question. It's a great question. So, let's go ahead and dive right in. Buckle up, everybody. Okay, so, well, first of all, yes, if you don't tackle a movement over the course of the year, how do you expect to get good at it? Absolutely, no doubt about that. But here's what a topic we need to touch on before that happens. And so you mentioned something like, for example, the chest to bar pull-ups in today's workout. Why are they a struggle? So, or pull-ups in general. Is it a technique failing or is it a strength failing? And so, for example, do you have the strength to raise your chin over the pull-up bar? And anybody can answer this question. If the answer is no, you do not, okay, well, then you need training to build that strength so that you develop the musculature and the muscular capacity to raise your chin up over the bar. And if you want to totally nerd out, think about the CrossFit, the 10 general physical skills, would be talking about the organic components right here. Okay, you don't have the strength. The strength is one of the organic components, which would be strength, cardiorespiratory endurance, stamina, and flexibility. You have a failing somewhere in those. You can't get your chin over the bar. So you need to train, develop your muscular strength, and get your chin up over the bar. Okay, so now I come back to you after a while and I say, do you have the strength to raise your chin over the pull-up bar? And you say, yes. I say, great. And you can say, I can do 5, 6, 7 strict pull-ups. Great. Doesn't sound like you have a failing or a deficiency in the strength component, in those organic components. Then I say, can you do kipping pull-ups? And you say, no, I cannot. Okay. Well, now what needs to come in is practice, because you have the flexibility, the range of motion to go from your arms fully extended to your chin up over the bar. You have the muscular strength to make that happen. What you don't have is the coordination, accuracy, agility, and balance, the sequencing, the movement pattern, the technique to turn your strict pull-ups into that beautiful flow of a kipping chin over bar, be it gymnastics kip or butterfly kip. Well, that's not necessarily going to be developed by you spending more time on the organic components and increasing your strict pull-up capacity. You need to practice the kipping chin over bar pull-ups. And so that's one way to think about that. Think about training and developing an actual deficiency in your musculature versus do you have the musculature, but you don't have the technique to apply it in the right sequence. One is training. I don't have the strength. I'm going to train to improve it. The other is I have the strength, but I don't have the technique. Well, I need to improve that technique through practice. Okay, so there's training and there's practice. Another way to think about this is a double under is a great one. Frustrates a lot of people, right? So the question is, can you do a double under? And someone says, no, I cannot. Okay, I don't know if it's a training issue or a practice issue. So I ask them another question. I say, all right, you don't have a double under. Can you jump 2 inches off the ground and spin your wrists? And of course, most people will probably say yes. And they'll roll their eyes and go, yes, I can jump 2 inches off the ground and spin my wrists, but I don't have double unders. Oh, okay. Well, you can jump 2 inches off the ground and spin your wrists. You don't have a deficiency in the organic components that would be developed through training. You have adequate strength to leave the ground. You have adequate cardiorespiratory endurance, muscular stamina. You have an adequate range of motion. What you don't have, you haven't developed the neurological components of coordination, accuracy, agility, and balance to sequence that jump with where the rope is, with the spinning of your wrists, so that everything comes into this beautiful flow. So you need to practice the double under to improve your technique. So again, there's training and there's practice. And on any particular movement, we have to identify with the athlete, where are you deficient? It could be in one, it could be in both. And then helping to identify that will help lay out the road to improving where that athlete needs to focus on to be a more well-rounded athlete. So skills are improved through practice, okay? Skill, and every time I say practice, I just want to go down the road with the Allen Iverson quote and just keep saying that we're talking about practice. We're not talking about the game, we're talking about practice. Okay, I'll resist. So when you scale or modify a workout, it should be with the intended stimulus in mind and the aforementioned concepts that I just mentioned regarding training and practice. Talking about practice. All of those things, along with the intended stimulus, should be in your mind as to when you decide you're going to tackle a workout prescribed or you're going to modify it in one way, shape, or form. So getting back to your question, Henry, there's nothing wrong with the way that you did the workout. Okay, there's nothing wrong with it at all. So let me get that out there right now. You know, based upon what you said about the chest to bars, you said you got your chest to the bar some of the time. So that tells me you have the capacity to at least do chin over bar pull-ups or whatnot. And you said in the past you might have defaulted to a ring row. Now, without more background knowledge, that seems like too much of an overscale. So if you're kipping and doing pull-ups and getting your chin over the bar and you did some chest to bar pull-ups, I think if you're scaling all the way down to a ring row for a particular workout, that's a bit too much. But not always. That if somebody really struggled with upper body pulling strength, they really needed to develop the strength, not practice the technique, but they needed the organic components, the strength to get their chin over the bar more frequently. I'm a huge fan of ring rows, and you can make them profoundly difficult and put them into a workout, and while you're doing a workout, improve your upper body pulling strength through something like that. So that's not necessarily a bad choice, would also just depend upon the angle that you had your body on and was it serving that purpose for you. Okay, so perhaps you have the strength, the organic components of the chest to bar pull-up, since you said you did some of them and every now and then your chest didn't hit, but maybe 45 of them in a workout, which is what a 21:59 comes out to for Henry, maybe 45 of them with interference from the other pulling movement, which is the barbell from the ground. Well, that was just too much. Okay, yeah, I've got some chest to bar, but there's 45 in this workout, and there's intentional interference with the other movement, and so, woof, that's just too much. Gotcha. So what if you had switched to just kipping chin over bar workouts? That would have been 100% fine. Would have been nothing wrong with that. You wouldn't have to scale all the way down to a ring row. What if you stuck with the kipping chest to bar pull-ups, if that's where you personally felt that you needed to focus on, right? Like, hey, my ring rows are pretty darn good. I've got some strict pull-ups, they're pretty good. You put kipping chin over bar pull-ups in a workout, I'm pretty darn good at those. You put kipping chest to bar pull-ups in a workout, now they fall apart quickly. I bet there's a lot of people in that area as well. There's more than one way that you could scale that, and multiple of them would be right. You could have a band standing by, and maybe you start off doing kipping chest to bar pull-ups, triples, doubles, singles, whatever it happens to be, and you're making your way through that set of 21. Maybe, let's say by the time you get to 10, you did 2 sets of 5, and you're just smoked. Your kipping chest to bars are absolutely gone. But you have your handy-dandy band ready on the pull-up bar, and not a band that's helping you too much, that when you get into it, that it shoots you into orbit. That's not actually, that's making you feel good because you get a faster time on the leaderboard, but that's not taxing you and challenging you so that you actually develop those organic components and improve your strength. So I would have a band standing by that is the absolute bare minimum assistance needed. So you did 10 out of the 21, you shouldn't then slip onto the band and have the band give you so much help that you get the next 11 unbroken, and then there's your boom, 21, you're done. No. You want to have that band just enough because you were at failure that now you're getting triples, something like that. You're working hard, you're shaking it out, you get another triple. Working hard, you shake it out, you get another triple. Now you're progressing. You're both at the same time, since the band's not giving you too much help, You're improving your organic components, right? You're not having the band do all the work. Your musculature is doing the work. But since you didn't default all the way down to the ring row, you're still using a very light band and doing kipping chest to bar pull-ups, you are simultaneously working the technique of the movement, practice, if you will, Allen Iverson, of where you need to get better and improve. Where had you just defaulted to the ring rows, and maybe you had your feet in the box so that they were really hard, okay, the ring rows are serving the function of you improving the organic components of improving your strength, but the ring rows are not helping you practice the movement of the kipping chest to bar pull-up, whereas the appropriate light band would. So again, things like that are things to keep in mind. Let's play this same game with the barbell in this movement, because it sounded like, based upon what you said, that 135 in a 21:15:9 workout for the power clean with the interference of the kipping chest to bar pull-ups would be a bit much for you. And so should you have scaled down the loading? There would be nothing wrong with scaling down the loading. Nothing wrong with it at all. But you decided to keep the barbell loading quote unquote prescribed, and then it took you longer, you were more tired, you had to take bigger chunks of rest and smaller sets. Again, it's not necessarily wrong, right? You just decided to make this a heavy day at a high heart rate, which wasn't exactly the intention, but that doesn't mean that you did it wrong. If you decide to knock the loading down a bit, not too much that you're an unbroken hero on the barbell, but again, you made it challenging where you're like, I don't think I'm going to get more than a set of 5 at any sort of time, because now I chose a weight that's not light for me, but it's not so heavy that I'm staring at the bar. That probably would have been a really good choice for this workout as well, okay? And the question is, when would you be able to improve these areas, right? Well, you can improve them during the workout in the manners that I just said. If you understand the difference between training and the organic components, you understand the difference between practice and the neurological components, you understand the relationship between the two, you think about the intended stimulus of the workout, and then based upon all of those things and where you are in your fitness journey, you find the appropriate path for you. It's absolutely possible, right? But it takes, nuanced conversations like we're having right now so that everybody kind of understands the point. Now, the good news is that you will get good at all of these things that I just mentioned over time, because our programming is not biased. So if you followed a program that was, let's say, biased to heavy barbells, well, then you could fairly ask, when am I supposed to get good at my gymnastics and my conditioning? Because we're always doing heavy barbell work. That would be a fair question. You could contrast that with, if you followed a program that was biased to conditioning, you could fairly ask, well, when am I supposed to improve my strength or my gymnastics? We're always just going light and long. Now, if you followed a program, let's say, that was biased to short time domains, you could fairly ask, when am I going to improve my ability to go long, etc., etc. You see where I'm going with this. But we don't bias our programming. We give everything the respect that it deserves. And so how will you increase your pull-ups? Again, through the ways that I mentioned right there, and then through all the wonderful, intentionally, purposefully designed variants that we put in from, we do strict pull-ups, we do kipping chin over bar, kipping chest to bar, we do ring rows, we do rope climbs, we do ring muscle-ups, we do bar muscle-ups, we do every conceivable upper body pull that you can think of, and then offer and encourage through discussions like this as many different ways to creatively scale all those wonderful pieces of variance for where you are in your fitness journey. That drives the needle forward. And then we do them in workouts not for time, so you can focus on just improving your strength without trying to just get a good time. We do them in small sets, we do them in big sets, we do them in workouts with interference, we do them in workouts without interference. Play the same game with the barbell. We have dedicated heavy days, just pure heavy days that we respect, to solely focus on those organic components, pure, raw end strength. That's it, period, end of story. We have light to moderate loading days and mixed modality workouts, like the workout that you're talking about right now. We have heavy days at high heart rates. We have days where we have prescribed loadings. We have days where we have loadings that are percentage based, and everything in between. This will improve everything that you need to improve, and if you have extra time, energy, desire, and your body can tolerate it, well, then if you wanted to do some extra stuff, you certainly could, because practice does pay off. There's just no way around that. So you could tackle some optional accessory work if you so desired. You could focus on areas that you need to improve, and then practice, practice, practice. Let's see, I think I lost my place here. Like I said, there was a lot here. It was a great question. Okay, so let's circle back and wrap it up and put a little bow on it with the open. So the open is cool. The open is fun in many regards. It's cool and it's fun. However, it's not the fault of the open, okay? This is because fitness is easy, people are difficult. That's why. The open is potentially troubling or problematic if people let it sink into their heads and then see themselves as either a success or a failure based upon what happened in the open, which is why I'm not a big fan of, the open's a test and I either passed it, and I guess I'm somebody who passes things, or I failed the open, and now it's really tough for me not to let that creep in that I'm a failure, my training's a failure, what happened, I'm a failure. That's when it's potentially problematic. But again, that's not the fault of the open. That's people controlling their own brains there. So if it's a pass-fail test, like I said, I personally don't like that because it's somewhat subjective based on what the programmer chose to program. And then you'll judge your self-esteem as a person, as an athlete, based upon your performance. I don't think that's the way to do it. And I'll give you a couple scenarios that maybe will help paint this picture. So scenario number 1, talking about the open, okay? Overhead. Going overhead needs to get tested. It's going to get tested. And we got to go heavy. Okay, so we think about the final workout and what came out. Wall walks came out. Strict handstand push-ups came out. And snatches that got very, very, very heavy while you're fatigued came out. Did all those work and do the trick for the test? Yep, absolutely did. Tested overhead, tested heavy, great. That's scenario 1. It's exactly what happened in the open in the final workout. But what if scenario number 2 happened, and it just as easily could have happened? What if handstand walks were chosen instead of wall walks? That would have worked just fine. And what if, since we chose handstand walks, which is a bit more complicated than the wall walks, we decided to make the handstand push-ups quote-unquote a little easier, and so you were allowed to kip on those. So we chose for scenario number 2, handstand walking, and then kipping for the handstand push-ups. And you know what? We're going to choose an Olympic lift and we're going to go heavy, but instead of the snatch, we're going to choose the clean and jerk. Could the final workout of the open involved handstand walking, kipping handstand push-ups, and then heavy clean and jerks and still accomplish the mission? I think you can make a very strong case that yes, and neither one's right or wrong. It's just one was chosen by the programmer and one wasn't. It's literally that simple. And so here's the deal. You don't have all the time in the world. So you know what? You decide to be a diligent athlete over the course of the year. And you're like, the open's coming up. You know what? They're always putting those handstand walks in the open. And it's always the part where I start to fall apart. So you know what? I'm going to practice my handstand walk like no one's business this year. I'm going to be a handstand walk guru. I can't wait. And then what happens? You wait. And the 3rd week comes. And handstand walks never show up. And you were great at them, and you couldn't wait to advance on the leaderboard. But since you don't have all the time in the world, and you decided to focus on the handstand walk, which was an actual area that you needed to improve on, well, you had to make a sacrifice. You chose that over something else. So maybe you chose that, and you decided not to focus so much on doing a bunch of extra work on strict handstand push-ups. And so those were kind of mediocre for you. Well, now what happens? You didn't focus on the strict handstand push-ups. You focused on handstand walking, and it didn't come up. As a matter of fact, strict handstand push-ups came up. So does that mean that you're a failure as an athlete? No, that's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous in my personal opinion. And that is where I think there is the potential problem. It's not the fault of the open if athletes let those sort of feelings or thought pop into their head. I think it's totally ridiculous. Makes training not fun, makes people feel defeated, and I think it's just patently false, as a matter of fact. So what I would say is, look at your data, especially in something like Beyond the Whiteboard. For any athlete in the world, whoever's listening to this, look at your data. If you're doing well-rounded programming, then you know that you're on the right track for improving your fitness. Are you doing short to medium to long? Very light to very heavy? Are you going below parallel and overhead? Are you doing the power lifts and the Olympic lifts? Are you doing all sorts of upper body pulling? Are you running? Are you rowing? Are you biking? Are you doing those things in combinations? Are you covering all of your bases? And if you are, and you look at your data as to how you are right now and how you were a year ago, and you're moving in the right direction, then who cares how you did in the open? Who cares? Is your Cindy score better than it was a year ago? Great. Is your deadlift better than it was a year ago? Great. The workout grace, are you doing better than you were a year ago? Great. I mean, those three things that I named right there is one heavy lift, one short and sharp barbell workout that's sub 5 minutes, and then a 20-minute total bodyweight gymnastics fest in Cindy. Three very different workouts. All those moving in the right direction? Chances are you're doing pretty well. But you decided to focus on handstand walk instead of strict handstand push-ups, and now your leaderboard score tanked in the final thing and you think that you're a failure? That's a potential problem with the open. And it's not the fault of the test. It's the fault of the individual and their perception of their performance. So I hope that helps. I mean, I can paint you a total picture of this with myself as an athlete because all of us are imperfect in some way. Back in the day, like my bread and butter workout was Fran. I mean, like thrusters and pull-ups. That was me. Short and sharp. I could make myself suffer. I logged several sub 230 Frans with witnesses. So I'm not just talking junk, with witnesses. So let's say the open was like, you know what? We're going to do just one workout to test the fittest in the world. And it's going to be the quintessential CrossFit workout. It's Fran. I'm going to do so well on that leaderboard. It's amazing. But that's because through dumb luck, they chose something that's really good for me. But let's say instead they didn't. They chose another beautiful test that's also a classic CrossFit workout, 2159 weightlifting gymnastics. Says, you know what? One workout, and it's going to be Diane. Deadlifts and handstand push-ups. Oh no. Man, I really wish that you chose Fran, because I'm great at that. Handstand push-ups are my absolute kryptonite. And so my Diane time is like 15 minutes, and I will be 10,000th in the leaderboard, just because you chose a different workout that has a different movement that I struggle with. Does that mean that overall my fitness wasn't progressing in the right direction because you chose Diane and made it an important workout that year? Nonsense. My fitness was going great. Just a workout that I'm not good at, even though I'm trying to be. So again, the open's wonderful. It's fun. But don't make it out to be more than it is in your fitness journey. And it's just 3 workouts. They're trying to cover a lot of bases in 3 workouts. More tests, the better. Like I said, the fewer tests, the chances are that you just lucked out or didn't luck out. That's like my Fran versus Diane example. 1 test, I'm going to get lucky or I'm not. 3 tests, that's better. 10 tests, 100 tests. So what you have in your Beyond the Whiteboard app is tons and tons and tons of tests and workouts and data points. And you know if you're going in the right direction, you know if you're stagnant, or you know where you have to improve and focus a little bit. So I hope that helps. I would also check out Very Not Random, episode number 91, which we did a while ago, which is understanding the intended stimulus and when you should scale up. I think that will serve you well. Fantastic question, Henry. Excellent, loved it. I hope that answer was beneficial. As we record this, it's a rest day on Thursday. Thanks to everyone for being awesome. Enjoy your rest day, and we'll talk again soon.